What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Today on the table in front of us, well, we've got an Artisan knife. Now, I mentioned earlier, I think, in one of my videos that Russell from Artisan Cutlery stopped by and brought us some toys to play with. This was one of them. This is the Artisan Cygnus, and I have to admit, until I had this knife in front of me and in person, I had no interest in it. It just doesn't take pictures very well, I guess, but once it was here, well, that changed. It's a really interesting design. As you can see, it has these cutouts in the blade. These are the G10 scales because this is the D2 version. It has a nice deep carry clip and a lanyard hole set into the back of the backspacer, which is really nicely done. But I'll tell you something, in hand, this is a surprisingly comfortable knife. I really like it. It is a huge, thick chunk of D2 that runs up to a nice fat edge that comes down to a nice narrow tip right there. It is an excellent draw cut knife. It's good for push cuts. It has a choil here that's a little small for my big fingers, but I can get up there. But really, for fine work, this thing is just amazing. It is not overly heavy, even though it is a big thick chunk of D2. It's got some jimping mounted into the liners back here, which make this really nice. It's just a strangely comfortable knife. I love it. I didn't think I was gonna. I love the way it looks. The action is just something else. But here's the thing. Artisan tends to make knives in many forms and functions, so if D2 and G10 are not your style, please be aware, they do make this in carbon fiber, but they also make it in titanium. And, well, now this, I might have to get one of these. This is a nice knife, but as you guys know, I'm not doing a ton of G10 and D2 right now, so let's set this to the side. The titanium on this is beautiful. It has that marvelous Artisan blue anodization, which brings out a ton of purples, so I guess you'd even call it blurple. The S35 VN blade is just ground in a beautiful way. The action on this one is actually even better a little bit than the G10 model. It is really snappy. I don't know if I can get my finger in there to, oh, and I can. You can middle finger flick this thing. This is a great knife. Now, there is one feature that I do prefer on the G10 model. This is, of course, the liner lock. It does have a steel lock bar insert. The lanyard hole is in the same space on the titanium model as it is on the G10, but I prefer the clip on the G10. Now, neither one of these is really deep carry because there's a ton of knife sticking out here, but on the titanium model, there's even more knife sticking out, and that is, well, that's a fair amount of knife sticking out of my pocket. But it is a narrow profile. It is reasonably light, even the titanium version. And again, this is such a great working blade. I have really, really enjoyed having both of these around. They're going back to Artisan here pretty quick, which is kind of a bummer. I feel like I'm going to have to chase one of these down just so I can have it in the collection because it is so interesting looking. Let's get some dimensions. Let's do a size comparison first. We'll leave those up. Well, you know what? Let's do it this way. So here are the two Artisan blades, and if we drop, the Old Faithful Rat Model 1 right there in the middle, you can see these knives are all exactly the same size. These are the same length as the Rat Model 1, but they take up less pocket space because of the sort of lean design. And man, it's just such an interesting knife. You know, that happens sometimes. You see pictures of something and you think, no, I don't want that. And then you get one in your hand and everything changes. This is one of those knives for me. I had no interest in it. The pictures online just do not do it justice. The funky design pattern, the milling, the holes in the blade, all of that came together to make me say, nah. And then I got a hold of one. And so now I'm going to have a hold of one on a permanent basis because this is an excellent little knife. It really is. I don't know if it's for you. It doesn't have to be. But it will be, in fact, for me. And that is very cool. And what's even cooler about it is if spending the couple of $100 likely to get the titanium and S35VN model is not your jam, they make you a budget version that is exactly, and I mean so close to the same as to make no difference. So if you're not into premium materials, which is fine, some people don't care about that stuff, you can get this same funky and interesting knife in good tool steel and in really just, well, you know, G10's going to survive, right? I don't know. I think this is really cool. In fact, I wish that more knife companies would do stuff like this. Now, I know that companies like Kaiser, when they do stuff like this, they do the same thing. The Kaiser Roach is one of my favorite knives, and that knife comes in both a beautiful premium titanium version and also an excellent G10 version. I wish that other knife companies would learn this lesson. You know, not everybody wants to spend $200 on a knife. Some people want to spend $30 or $40 or $50 on a knife and feel good about it. Artisan puts a lot of effort into making sure that, for the most part, with their knives, if you find a style that you like in their G10, they're going to have it in premium and vice versa. And that, to me, that's just good business, and it's just good knife making, and I'm really happy about it. Let's talk about what you get. We've done a size comparison, but let's look at actual dimensions, shall we? For blade length on this, you get 1, 2, 3, just about 3.5 inches of cutting surface. You get 3 3/4 of, in this particular model, S35VN. The handle itself is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches long, but you get 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of handle space, which, of course, for my big meat hooks, wow, I can talk, hooks is a really perfect size. The way that this handle is shaped means that it locks into the hand exceptionally well. It really does. There is a little bit of a warm spot right here on the, you know, digs into my palm a little bit where the pocket clip resides. Over on the G10 model, I actually don't get that, and I don't know if it's because the stamped steel clip has a little more give to it, but actually, in truth, the G10 model is a little more comfortable in hand. But both of them are exceptionally good to use. And again, the action on these things is really, really, really good. But that tends to be Artisan's jam. I've never had an Artisan with bad action, and these two live up to that entirely. Once again, and I guess finally, this is the Artisan Cygnus, and if you are looking for a premium knife, S35VN, and all titanium with milled everything, there's one for you. If you are looking for a user with a fair amount of style, there is a D2 and G10 version for you as well. I love these things. I am so glad that Russell dropped them off. I want to say thank you to Artisan Cutlery. Now, mind you, Artisan Cutlery is not paying me to do any of this. They just thought it might be fun to have us take a look at their knives, and I'm really glad they did. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and close this out. Once again, Artisan Cygnus, I've been a Therapeutic Edge. You've been watching this video, and I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.